people like to make out. You can't tell me some of those Democrats didn't understand Obamacare was a mess. You can't tell me that. So why did they all vote as a bloc? The answer is simple. In the Democratic Party, the power is through the progressive movement. Okay? So the unions, the gays, the trial lawyers have all the money. And all the Democrats are dependent upon that. So they can pressure them and say, you're not going to win again if we don't support you. In the Republican Party, why do they scatter like a bunch of sheep? Because McCain-Feingold. McCain-Feingold was a law that John McCain pushed because prior to McCain-Feingold, all the money went to the party. And the party dished it out to the candidates. Okay? After McCain-Feingold, the money went directly from the donors to the candidate. And the party played a secondary role. So the point is that John McCain wants to be his own little king. I don't want to answer to the party. I don't want to answer to anybody. Okay? I'm John McCain. And so he has all these people behind him who vote with him. So when it comes to a vote like that, you're not going to vote as a bloc because someone's controlling each of them. Not one group is controlling all of them.
Term limits.
Well, there's the other answer with term limits. They'll say, well, you want term limits, just vote them out. But they make it pretty hard to vote them out when they redistrict, right? Where they make it where you have this overwhelming vote. They make it pretty hard. Again, values. Are you really in this for the country or are you in it for yourself? And what we're finding is that they're in it for themselves. So you need to attack the system.
How would that vast spy network, could they be blackmailing congressmen and senators with all this information that they gather?
No doubt about that. I mean, there's anything goes, including murder, as far as I can see reading history. Okay? You know.
The other thing they do too is it's about controlling your campaign funds.
Oh.
Because most of these people cannot get elected by themselves raising their own funds.
Sure.
Because it's too much money to raise. Even on a local state representative race.
Right.
I mean, because the media is so expensive, direct mail is so expensive, et cetera, et cetera. So they control you by inference of, we're not going to fund your campaign, you know, unless you're.
Oh yeah, you're with us. See, and so the money plays the key role. And where do you get the money? From people who want favors. Okay, and so how do you back to Matt Lynch? Don't take the bribe. How many people can stand there and not take the bribe? How many people can say? Now, I'll tell you, and you mentioned in your group, you know, talk about Ron Young. Okay, talk about a guy who's taking some heat for standing up. Okay, here's a guy that really shows some courage, real courage. Okay, and has lost opportunity for himself because of that courage. But there's just aren't enough of them because we haven't been involved. And so what they do is they make politics so dirty, ugly. What decent person would want to run? Seriously. How do you say to someone that you know is a good person from your church or a businessman, to say, stop running that car dealership and go into politics? I always say to Jim Renacci, you know, I don't know if you guys know this, but Jim Renacci is the wealthiest person in the house. Jim Renacci from Akron and Canton was a car dealer, owns a bunch of nursing homes. He's very wealthy. And I always said to Jim, I said, I respect you probably more than I can respect any other house member because you don't have to do this. You can tell them, go take a hike. Most of the other people are there because they have to be, okay? And you don't. But we need to get principled people, and that's the challenge when you have all this going against you. And so if you can attack the system, okay, not have the legislature in session all the time, you know, the caucus, you know, our Speaker Batchelor literally said to the caucus during the Medicaid expansion vote, you know, that you need to be loyal to the caucus, not to the people back home.
You know what, I got a comment to make. You know, I look at this whole Obamacare thing as possibly, you know, a real opportunity for waking up the sleeping giant. You know, I think ordinary people are gonna be beating down the doors to get involved because you know why? It's gonna hit their pocketbook.
They're feeling the pain.
Mine and yours and everybody. And you know what? Now is the time for there to be, if there's any kind of a revolution change, this is it, because this Obamacare is the biggest debacle since the beginning of time, and it's gonna cause, I mean, so the thing of it is people are gonna be looking for what can I do? What can I do?
And we need to stand up, and we need to track them
How do
through our
we track
movement.
it out? The best thing is to see how to track us all to get to, even to make, you know, you're saying we had no voice.
Right.
I think that could be quadrupled.
Oh, I
think
agree.
it could be after this whole thing with this Obamacare, this could be the biggest opportunity for this whole system to change because of what's going on.
So let me say a couple things that we can do about this. First of all, you gotta remember our environment. No one's gonna give us credit. We have to take credit. You need to stand up and say, I told you so. You need to stand up and say, Tea Party equals the truth. You know, I wrote in my letter, I said, we were right about the IRS, we were right about the shutdown, and that we didn't cause it, that Obama orchestrated. We were right about, you know, the Obamacare. But there's worse coming, okay? And so you've got to stand up and let them see you so they can be drawn to you. Now, a lot of us, we've started to do some things. How many of you know that I have a radio show now, okay? On Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock at WHLO in Akron, 640. Well, Glenn Newman's going to start one in Marietta. George Bruneman, I've got him set up to start one in Cincinnati, okay? And we're trying to do that. Why? To get our voice out, to talk the way we just talked tonight to people who are not in this room tonight, okay? And I think that if we keep doing that, you're right, it's starting to coalesce, because that's what we got to have. What's critical about Obamacare is up until now, all the pain was in small groups, and they were mostly on our side, okay? This is the first time it's a big group and they're mostly on their side. Huge difference. And you're right, but what's frightening, and we all need to understand is, if you think Obamacare is bad now, oh my, okay, oh my, and you need to be sounding the alarm. Yeah?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you and Dale. I mean, I belong to Orange County Tea Party. I go down there once a month, 41 miles each way. And I also work with Dale, and the Lake County Republican Party is very fortunate to have Dale. Dale is a true conservative and a true patriot, and I thank him for that. And I'm glad Chuck started this, but the things, you know, either we're part of the solution or we're part of the problem. Right. And just like today, I called ARC. Remember, ARC was one of the biggest supporters of Obamacare. So I called them and raised holy heck, said, what have you done with the senior citizens with this? And they didn't know what to say. They do, well, we haven't gotten any calls on this, but these are the things you've got to do, is just remind them, well, you supported this, you said this Obamacare was the greatest. Just like our, I'll say politicians, I won't say, and Matt Lynch is a true public servant. I'll give Matt all the credit in the world. He's a great public servant. But we've got to hold everybody accountable, may it be ARC or somebody else. And I highly recommend it. If you aren't get that newspaper, you keep seeing it, where the president would keep saying he supports Obamacare and everything else like that. I call them and say, well, you supported this. How great is it for the senior citizens? My sisters went up 400%. My company dropped mine. And just give them these examples and say, what did you do for me? And these are the people we got to hold accountable.
And it can't just be
And
Republicans.
you've got to do something about it.
You got to call Sherrod Brown, okay? I mean, we're in our area, we got Tim Ryan, okay? They're the ones who've been all saying, oh, this is great, this is going to be great. Sherrod Brown's been all over the state. Get on the phones, he's your senator too, and just beat him up, all right? And tell other people to do the same. Listen, you know, it's called making noise, all right? And we make noise. We do a good job making noise, but we got to keep doing it because that's how you get attention.
Turn up the volume.
You mentioned Sherrod Brown. It's funny because where I work, we get these emails from the Democratic Party, and I can't tell you how many we get a week. I mean, sometimes we get several a day, and they're begging for money. They are freaking out. Sherrod Brown just sent one out saying all this disparaging things about the Tea Party, you know, oh, they don't care, you know, they don't want women to have health care, blah, 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 you know, but they're doing this because they're really scared.
If they're not talking about you, you're not being effective, okay? And people say to me, I was on WOSU, the public radio station in Columbus 2 days ago, I guess it was, maybe it was yesterday, I don't know. Anyway, I was doing an interview, they had a college professor and I on talking about it, and they're saying, aren't you concerned that your poll numbers are down? The Tea Party is becoming less popular. And I said, we're not concerned at all. I said, because this isn't some fad. Okay, we're not ideologues. We aren't doing this because there's something in it for us.